Welcome. Welcome to Internet Insanity.
Welcome to Internet Insanity, where we discuss the frustrations with the internet. I am Ezra.
I'm David. Check out the world outside your box.
Check out the world outside your box.
I butchered that. It's the world outside my box.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. I would wear that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, because the world is outside of everyone's box.
Yeah, when I hear box, I think of innuendo immediately.
Yeah.
Is that on purpose?
No.
Okay, work.
I think yeah, it just seems like a lot of the earlier discussions we had before the podcast, I would just have this sense of like, oh, there's a world outside of my thinking, out of my box. And then it was just kind of like, oh, yeah, there's a whole, that's just how it is for everybody.
Yeah.
The world outside my box.
I love it.
Yeah. And then I just pictured like a person, but instead of a head, it's the planet Earth, and then the box is around them, and there's like a question mark above it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I could draw that pretty easily.
Yeah. So we'll have to do that.
I already started a little doodle of take the clickbait out of art.
Yeah.
Except I misspelled clickbait.
Yeah. It was still really good. I'm like, yeah.
I did it a couple more times, and I kept misspelling clickbait over and over again after you corrected me. And I was just like, fuck this. And I crumpled up the papers and I just threw it away. But I think I was also just really tired when I was trying to do it. And then I started rushing, and then I was like,
oh, I see.
It got frustrating, but it was a cute drawing.
Yeah, it was good. No, it was definitely good. That slogan just says, I have a lot of sentiment for that slogan, just because making art is hard enough, and being vulnerable is hard enough, and then having to like make it, consumable for like an industrial type factory environment, and I'm just like,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
And there's so many like rabbit holes you can fall down into as far as learning how to market yourself and make yourself more clickable and all of that stuff, which is in itself clickbait. It's like how, I don't know, it's so it's such a twisted realm.
I think some of it has to do with infatuation, but before we get into that, I think you had an interesting story about sharing your artwork the other day and how things unfolded.
That was smooth, David. That's really smooth. I had a weird day yesterday. I have had a weird couple days. I think I keep saying that I have had weird days because this time in my life is just weird, and I think a lot of people feel that way right now. Like it's almost like impossible to be like, "How are you?" to somebody and have them be like, "You know what? I'm great. I've just had the best few days."
Yeah.
Like that's just like unheard of right now. But yeah, no, yesterday was weird. So I'm working on this pop song.
Mm-hmm.
It's already kind of a stretch for me as far as my art goes, because I've never done that before.
Yeah. It's the world outside your box.
It's the world outside my box, and it's about my box. So the song is called Flat in Front, and it's like a very wholesome Disney Channel style song about my genitals, which is like the best, and I'm really proud of it. And it came to me in response to a Kesha song that says, but I just can't date a dude with a vag. And I was like, what? Excuse me? That's rude.
Yeah.
And I knew she wasn't talking about me specifically, but it still was like, I want to like make a response track to that. And that's how it started. But I showed it to a couple of people that are close to me yesterday, after the producer sent me back a more final version. It's not the final version. And I made that clear to them when I showed it to them that, this isn't the end. The vocals still need to be like amplified, whatever. Just
you said all this before playing it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah.
Which is so common. Every time you're like a starting project, especially with music, it's always, okay, well, I didn't really do the vocals that well, or it's not mixed, just so you know, it's not. Yeah. And it's like funny that I think a lot of it is like, yes, I'm sorry this didn't come out of $1 million production studio with a team full of engineers and composers, but I hope you still like it.
Yeah. That's exactly. There's always a disclaimer in the beginning, or like a little preface, like, let me tell you the history of this song and my budget.
Oh man, yeah.
So I mean, and these people knew, they're close to me, they're family. So it was like, okay, like I'm just gonna like, I always share my stuff with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why this time I was not prepared for criticism. I think because I'm already really sensitive about doing something new.
Yeah.
And having it be so personal. And then, like, on a lot of levels, very personal, And this is just such new territory that I really was looking for someone to just, like, gas me up and be like, we love you, we support you, you're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I was looking for. And I wasn't honest about that up front.
Right.
So then when they were like, here's a list of all the things we didn't like about it.
So right after you played it, they just went into a list? Yeah. Okay.
And it was like, I could tell they wanted to give me feedback because they were like, oh, it's not done yet. Okay. Like, if it's still tweakable, then let's tell you the things we didn't like. And I could tell their intentions were good, but I wasn't ready for it and I wasn't asking for it.
Right.
And then when it hit me, I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. And I just wish I didn't show you.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Did you want to scrap the whole project?
No, it wasn't that bad, but it was just like, oh, I wish I could reverse time and like take it away from your ears.
Yeah.
That's
a really good way of putting
it. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like it's hard to be vulnerable and then get criticism from it, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah.
I think I remember one time saying like sharing your art is a lot of times like asking someone out on a first date. It's like you're just like, fuck, all right, I know I have to do this. It's just I'm gonna be disappointed in myself if I just don't kind of open up and like try to like throw that out there.
Yeah.
And then however it's received is also similar. It's like, oh, that'd be great. It's like then elation comes along, or it's like, no, sorry, I don't see you that way, or whatever. Like, I don't see your art that.
Yeah.
This pop song had a lot of problems with it. It's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's just so dejected.
Yeah. And I'm already like, it's like if you come at it with insecurity already in the forefront of your, of your space, I guess. I think I was definitely more privy to feeling defensive and sensitive and, weird about being criticized or like having someone have feedback for me, because I was already like, I wasn't like, this is amazing and I'm so proud of it and here it is and whatever you say to me doesn't matter because I feel so good about it.
Yeah.
And I think the same goes for like if you're asking someone out and you're like, I already know I'm really great. So, if you don't like that, that's fine. But like, I know I'm great.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're less affected by a rejection because you're like, oh, well, guess it just didn't work out. I'm just going to keep loving myself or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And I definitely didn't feel that strong. So it was kind of like, it was just like, it shook me. And then I felt so nauseous. But then get this. So these two people that gave me the feedback, they're married, and they were like, they could tell that I got a little shaky, and they were like, are you okay? Like, and I was like, honestly, no, I'm not. I don't feel good right now. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh no, what happened? And I was like, well, I wasn't prepared for feedback, and it caught me off guard, and I was more looking for just some like sweet validation. Mm-hmm. And like, maybe like, you're doing great, sweetie. And yet here we are with a list of all the things you didn't like. And most of the things they didn't like are things I liked about the song too. So it was like, really, yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. Thanks. Because it's got a lot of like weird, complicated sounds in it and whatever, the song. Right. And I was like, I had so much fun doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they were like, it just doesn't sound like you. And I'm like, but this is me. So it was, but I got to be honest about it. And then I was like, I do have to go because I want to cry. And so I'm gonna go. And they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. And I was like, it's fine. Not your fault. I'm just gonna leave now. I love you both. Goodbye. And then of course they sent me like a long message that was just like, we love you and support you and whatever. And I read it and I was just like, I can't answer it right now. I just have to like cry. Yeah.
Because it probably felt like they were coming from their truth. Yeah. And so now it's like after the fact, like, no.
Right.
Like, I wasn't asking you out. I was just seeing if you wanted to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Because I thought you would like this movie.
Not because I like you. Ew. Right. Yeah. Friend. Acquaintance. Who are you? What's your name?
That reminded me of a story when I was in the brief stint in community college. You could get free, one of the classes is just lessons, private music lessons. So it was basically you pay like whatever, like $20 for the course. It was like really cheap, and then you'd have like a semester's worth every week of a private lesson, which was like really affordable. So I really enjoyed it. Well, the guy that they had who would teach private guitar lessons also had a degree in physics, and said he would teach me about electronic music, and it was like so cool. But the head of the music department just was like, no, he's supposed to teach guitar, and I was like, I don't understand what your problem is. He's willing to teach me electronic music production. He knows what he's doing. Just give me the fucking class. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And, he had, arrogance and all that type of character defects. Wow, I just was about to talk like Yoda. He had a lot of arrogance, so I knew I was brushing up against his arrogance.
Yeah.
And he just went, you'll never be a good jazz pianist anyways. Why does it matter? Like, very...
Whoa.
Like, rolled off his tongue. And I remember it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
Because I looked up to him as a teacher. Not maybe as a person, but as someone I knew he knew a lot about music. So his opinion, his critique, was really like, fuck, if this guy thinks I'm never going to be a good jazz pianist, it might be true.
Yeah.
And I remember I was so dejected. But then at that time, I also had private lessons through the school with a jazz pianist. I didn't tell him the story. I was just depressed at the lesson. And then I remember him saying, man, you're way better than I was at your age. Aww. And like that. And I remember being like so grateful he said that, and I felt better. And I remember thinking like, fuck, like I wonder how I would have felt about all this if he hadn't said that. If he hadn't, I guess maybe, sometimes a little compliment can go a long way.
Yeah, it's hard to admit this sometimes for some reason, but like, we are so affected by each other, whether we like it or not, Mm-hmm. And I went through this phase where in my early recovery where I thought that I was like a spiritual guru. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people go through that phase. I found the power of now. I found Eckhart Tolle. I was very present and mindful. And I had a lot of ideas come to me in meditation. You know what I mean? And
I still do that.
you know what? It's real. I mean, I get it. I
have
don't.
9 years, just so the listeners know.
And I have 2.5 years, so it's still fresher for me.
Yeah.
I'm a ripe baby, and but in my early days, I remember posting this status, and it just like returned on Facebook. It was like 3 years ago today or something.
Okay.
You said this
The
bullshit,
memories.
yeah. And it was like, a gentle kindness can brighten up even the darkest sadness.
I like that.
I mean, I would like it if someone else said it. I
Yeah.
think because I said it, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
You're like, oh shit, I just discovered that compliments can help people.
Yeah.
No one's ever thought of this before.
I'm like, let me just tell everyone what I just found. Like, I just, discovered, I unlocked the secrets of self-esteem building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how about, just to cut you off at the knees, let's take a break.
Okay, cut me off. Fine.
Ignore it. Okay, so we're back from the glorious break.
That was a good break. I got some coffee.
Yeah.
And I found a sandal that I thought I had lost.
That's nice.
Yeah, thank you. It's a victory.
So compliments, how a little compliment can go a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what's funny. It's true, because I literally reflect on that moment of that guy telling me I was better at jazz, and he was a really good pianist. That I've reflected on that a lot. I think I understood kind of a little bit at that moment, like how easily I can give into praise or criticism.
Mm.
Okay, I can determine how much influence a person's opinion has on my life. That's what I learned.
Mm.
And so, if someone I don't know, I think this is what's interesting with the internet, is that you can get a comment or like praise or critique from someone you don't know, and depending on how much influence you want the world of opinions based on the internet to influence how you think your song is or your artwork is, it can just be so erratic. I mean, I've heard celebrities talk about how they have like a ton of comments and they're just so high from it, and then they see one person say like, "Yeah, you looked kind of weird," and how they just fixate on it and they want to respond,
right?
And then all their celebrity friends say like, "You shouldn't respond, just don't."
Yeah, or don't read the comments.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so against human instinct to not read the comments.
Yeah, I think once you get literally into the tens of thousands of comments that you just can't, like, even if you sat for a day and tried reading all the comments, you would still get through them.
Sure.
I think that level of fame, then it's like easier to ignore the whole thing.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I find, like, for me, it goes both ways. Like, if I give a lot of weight and energy and value to the compliments that I receive, and then I see one negative comment, I give that same amount of like energy to that negative comment, and so it almost just like feels as big as all the, like, the whole group of positive comments.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like equal in energy to that one negative comment.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So it just feels like it counteracts it, and then I'm like, well, fuck, like, am I good or bad? I can't tell anymore.
Oh man, yeah.
And it makes me question everything, and that's what's so, it is erratic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Hey. I reached out yesterday after that criticism from those people who are close to me on Instagram, because I love that fucking application. And I made a little question that was like on my story that was like, I struggle with criticism and feeling defensive and sensitive when it comes to my art. How do people deal with that? And I received some really cool feedback from people, mostly just artists who were like, oh my God, same.
Yeah.
But some of them were like, use it as an opportunity to find acceptance for yourself, or like use it as, a way to really like discover what you feel about your own art. And if you agree with the feedback, then you know, alter your stuff. And if not, then you can just be like, well, I super like what I do. Like,
Yeah.
and I can feel even more empowered by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool advice.
That is really good advice.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I'm reflecting on myself, but a few people I know where I think we're super critical before we even post the art online or share it. And so it's almost like we don't want to get out of it for some reason, because there's like kind of a protective feeling like, oh, I'm making my art right now, it's not perfect, I'm not going to share it because I don't want to be judged. Because then if I was judged it was really good, or if I was judged it was bad, or in between, I don't have control of that feedback anymore. And so then especially if we got negative feedback, it would just reinforce that hesitation to begin with. And so I think there's a sense of like, I just enjoy that, instead of looking at criticism always as a negative, it can be seen as a positive way to reaffirm what you like about yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before, but that's really interesting.
It is. I thought that was a cool idea. I also don't come from a school, like an educated background.
Mm-hmm.
With my art has always been pretty much a rebellion. Like stuff that I did instead of homework, instead of school. It was like my escape from academia. And so to like the thought of merging my art with like an education environment always felt contradictory. And though I did consider going to art school and whatever, like I never felt like I would thrive in that environment, because like academia is terrifying and I'm fucking traumatized by school.
Yeah.
And but it also like I can see that people who do attend an art school are more take criticism better, basically, because they're used to it, and they have to critique each other's work. And so it's a skill that you can, I think, develop, being able to like listen to critique and change your stuff based on it.
I wonder if this is related or not, and maybe the listeners can chip in. I've thought about how when I was in school, you kind of have your classmates are like your support network. And I think when I was in school, and I've noticed that when you're in school with your peers, you share your work more readily because you're in this stage of, well, I'm not graduated yet, so I can just share this and we can learn together. And then there's like a really great sense of like, hey, I noticed you got better at that thing. And, oh, that's really cool. I really like what you're doing. And then, at least for me, I didn't really find a lot of that outside of school. It seemed like, it was like, no, you're supposed to be a success right now. Like,
you're supposed to be like fully cooked.
You're supposed to be fully cooked.
Like you're still baking in school.
Yeah, you're still baking in school. And outside of that, it just seems like the support isn't there. It's even the people I met who had just left from school, a lot of them were like, oh, I'm like way better than everyone right now because I've had like such a great education. And like I can't be seen with the likes of these people.
Whoa.
Even though like, but it's not like an arrogance thing. It's a nervousness thing, because it's like I'm supposed to be fully baked. I'm supposed to be better, and still I'm just with fellow artists trying to figure out what we're doing and trying to make like our projects as wonderful as we want them to be, or we're trying to make them to be. So that support system, I feel, is hard to find outside of the school environment.
Yeah.
So that might be also why they're better at taking critique, because maybe they've embodied that kind of sense of. I mean, I found that they have friends from school that they still remain tied to, so they still have that support network, so they don't have to go and find it.
Yeah. And also, like, I think that there's a sense of like having to defend my art more as somebody who didn't go to school for art. Like, and I don't think it was reinforced by anyone other than myself, you know, and my own self-judgment about not having attended school for art. You know, I mean, hair school is a form of art, sure, but it's not like, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
Which I did. I was the top of my class in beauty school,
Nice.
I have to say. Not many people can brag about that. So
yeah, I mean, should be proud of it.
Yeah, I was proud. I was a good student for the first time in my life. I was like actually good at school, so it's cool. But yeah, I think that there's a sense of like having to defend this thing that I do because there's nothing backing it up. And so I feel protective over it because there's no reason why I should be paid for my music. Because I can't say like, oh, I graduated from the school of art and music.
Right.
And this is how I got good at music. And
right.
You know, I'm just a weird kid who started writing songs when he was 16 years old and then kept doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Like that's you know what I mean? So it's I think that I created this sort of like barrier, I guess. And then when people criticize me, I feel like even more protective because I'm like, no, I had to fucking fight for this shit. Like, don't come at me, you know? Like, I think that's what gets triggered, honestly. I just realized that right now too.
Yeah. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. I can identify with that.
Really?
I think a lot of people can identify with that. What I did recently, I think I did this a few months ago. I put a bunch of my music that I've made over the years onto a SoundCloud profile. And I wrote that this is for people who respect art or for artists I respect. So please, I hope you enjoy it. And if you feel free to share it, but just share it to people you respect. Because I was like, this is like years of my life I put into these songs. I know they're crappy quality because a lot of it's experimentation. And I didn't want it to become clickbait. I was like, I can't put these songs. I'm not going to think about sharing them every other day to get views or listens.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have it be that I had 0 listeners, but I knew that I was coming from a place of contentment and I wasn't having to protect myself from people's critique. It literally was like, it's out of my hands now.
Yeah.
Like,
I get that.
And I think I've only shared it for a few people. But I felt really good about it, and I just don't have that sense of I needed to protect it anymore.
That's cool.
It's like, if people are sharing it with people they respect, like, it's being protected. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean critique or like or it doesn't mean that it can't be critiqued at all.
Right.
It's very open to critique, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the like. I don't know. I just don't want someone to listen to it in a hurry and then just be on their way and then, oh, that sucked. Could have worked on the vocals. It's like, no, duh, I could have worked on the vocals. You know, I didn't practice singing at all. Like, it's obvious.
Yeah, I think the idea of promoting a song that is so deeply personal and you've put so much time and energy into it, it feels kind of like taking a baby that you have worked on for 9 months inside your body, and then it came out and you're like, now we're gonna go on tour.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? And like, let me show you my baby, and I'm gonna show everyone my baby. And like, let's go on tour, let's get on stage, and everyone's just gonna marvel at you.
Whoa.
Because I made you. And that, I mean, it feels creepy. Yeah. Honestly, like when I was promoting Dysphoria under the name Girl Baby.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But
right.
I felt like I was prostituting my song. Mm-hmm. And maybe I don't know. Maybe that sounds crazy.
I don't think so.
But it just felt like because it was so deep and so personal, and it's a sad fucking song.
Yeah.
Like when you listen to it, I want your heart to shatter.
Yeah.
You know, that was the whole goal. I wanted it to be for that fucking 15-year-old trans boy laying in his room, duct taping his chest, trying to like, you know, rip apart his skin. You know, like that is the feeling. And so when I'm like, listen to my song,
Yeah.
I'm like, this feels crazy.
Yeah.
You know? But I also did fall into that trap of wanting to get views and wanting to get listens and wanting people to like love me and validate the song. But it's a weird thing to subject people to, promoting it in such a sort of like willy-nilly sort of way where I'm like, yeah, listen to my song. It's about being trans. Haha. Like, and then you hear it and you're like, I want to go like cry in my room by myself now.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that to me?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of ways to go with that point, you know. It's strange how it sounds like sharing your work invited grief. Like, it's in a sense. I don't really know what I'm talking about right now. But that's the feeling I got.
Well, even you said that one of the lines really stuck with you.
Oh,
which was bone saw to my hip bone.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know, you explained it like it was really graphic or something. Like,
yeah, it's really graphic. The melody works really well with it. It's like it's just well written. And to me, like, you grieving and then having to share it in a mass marketed way makes it seem, it's almost like, all right, I made this baby, let's go on tour and let's just not give two fucks about the safety of this baby.
Right. Yes.
Let the masses do with what they will with this baby.
Yeah. Like toss it into the van, no seatbelt.
Yeah.
Like pass it around.
Yeah.
Crowd surf the baby.
The baby needs to sleep, but you know what? It needs to be in a photo shoot right now. Yeah, there's something, I don't know, there's something very like interesting about that. I want to explore it more at a later time when I've had some time to think about it. Because what I read about just in the past like hour or two before we record this is I wanted to brush up on self-conscious emotions. So when you talked about embarrassment, so self-conscious emotions are things that humans most likely are the only creatures that have it, where you have to have a sense of yourself in relation to another person to feel these emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So creatures that don't have it, that self-conscious emotions, like you could say maybe like a cow, will feel angry if you push it because you're hurting it. So it doesn't have to go, why is Ezra pushing me right now? What did I do earlier to do this? It's just, ow, this sucks. I'm going to push forward. And so that's why animals like don't have guilt. Guilt is another self-conscious emotion where it's like, man, like maybe the family members, they felt guilt because it was like, hey, he wanted to share his song with us and we were just going to offer helpful criticism because we thought that's what it was. He was looking for validation. Damn, I feel guilty. I wish I could go back in time and change myself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think when I was looking into my books, what I came across was a chapter about collective hate and infatuation. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting probably to check out because the protests and stuff, maybe I can shed some light on it. But the thing that I can pretty much remember was infatuation. And so the idea was that when you love somebody, you have things, you have interactions with them on a semi-regular basis. You get to know the person, they get to know you, and you retain your individual sense of self. So like that would be a strong sense of like healthy love. Now infatuation is just a very vague notion of something that you kind of like, and then you're willing to just like completely ignore yourself in that
Bitch.
Yeah. And like, to be a little bit like edgy, you could see part of this stuff between the protests on either side doing that. Like where this is really important. It's not about me. I'm just going to throw myself into it and get caught up in all of this emotion.
And that's why, like, about a week into the protest, I started seeing circulation of different posts that were like, remember to take care of yourself. Remember to drink water.
Yeah.
You need to take care of yourself in order to actually be present for these protests. Just reminders, healthy reminders.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that and being like, oh, thank God that's circulating.
Yeah.
Because I was guilty of throwing myself into and becoming infatuated with the movements so much that I forgot to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And then I felt completely depleted in the end. Though it is something that I believe in and I want to be able to throw myself into. It's like, I want a healthy love. I don't want an infatuation.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool distinction.
Yeah. And then I personally thought, I think I've had a fantasy of infatuation when it comes to my success as an artist.
Mm.
Like it's never...
Ooh.
Yeah.
That just hit me.
Yeah. It's gotten a lot better. It's gotten a lot better since my injury, because ever since my injury and the inability to make music on a regular basis, I have to think very realistic every time I play some music or think about it, because it's just like, you're not going to go on a world tour if your arm doesn't fucking work and you sing like shit still. It's like, and I'm talking about me when I said that.
I think you sing great.
Yeah. But the to me, it's
I like weirdos.
Yeah. But before my injury, my level of infatuation was like really good improvised rock music, and then having moments where I can sing and then I can solo and it's different, and there was a lot of like physical involvement in that, and sharing that with the audience where they were like, wow, this is fucking sick, this is great. And like what's funny is, even as I'm talking about this out loud, the idea of an audience, I'm going, oh, that's infatuation. I don't know the audience. I don't know these people.
You just vaguely like them.
I just vaguely like them, and I vaguely want to have them like me.
Right.
And actually, that's why I've been conscious on the podcast of calling them the listeners, because I feel like people who are listening, like even if they do throw support our way, which I hope they do, so that we can throw some support back. But I've been very conscious of calling them the listeners, because to me, they're listening right now, and that if we get to meet them, they're no longer going to be listeners. They're going to be people who have something to say.
That's cute.
But as far as like dealing with embarrassment and sharing artwork, I think, at least for me, I can definitely see that I had to challenge a lot of infatuated fantasies.
Yeah. I mean, I think both of those things are like, in my mind, they're still separate. Like, I can't see the connection between the embarrassment and the infatuation.
Yeah.
So
well, usually you can see American Idol, when they show the people bomb really bad, like the chick. Well, they're like, hey, I'm the next superstar.
Okay.
That's infatuation. Like, I'm so good. There's also like pride is a social emotion too. So you can have something called hubris versus pride. And hubris is, I'm the best singer. It's very like broad.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I can sing this one song really well. That's like pride. It's very specific. So you can see this person going, I'm the best singer ever. They have this like hubris about them. And their fantasy is that they're going to go on American Idol. The judges are going to go, that's amazing. Oh my God, where have you been?
Right.
We're going to make you a millionaire.
Yeah.
And then they just can feel great about themselves. But what happens is they bomb, and then either the judges, I mean, sometimes you can see, the little that I've seen, it doesn't sink in. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
To be like, that was awful. Like,
and then they get defensive and they're like, oh my God, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that where like, on the first audition, people get people try to challenge the judges and
Yeah.
be like, you just didn't hear it right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
And so to me, like, I think, at least I relate to that a lot. And the friends I know that don't share their stuff on the internet, I think have a lot of that going.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, I'm bringing in some really hot art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you don't get it, I don't know what the fuck to do because I'm so sure of how good this is.
Like, I don't know what's wrong with you if you don't get this.
You should be infatuated as soon as you hear it.
Right. Just
That's
like
the
I
sense
am.
of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I can't, and maybe, and then to me, there might be how an artist develops by constantly comparing their imagined sense of relation to the audience,
Mm-hmm.
which I know sounds very like.
No, I get that too because I don't have a huge audience, but I do have a few people who like my music, and because I have a few, my mind lumps them all together into one group, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the people that listen to my music. And then now when I make music, I think to myself, oh my God, what are they going to think about this? And I automatically go to, okay, like, how are they going to perceive this based on all the other stuff that they've listened to by me? And like, it's just like, it's very, like I make a lot of general assumptions about how I'm being perceived by people rather than just being like, this is just another part of me and I'm going to share it. And that's what this pop song is a real stretch for me because, up till now, I've just been like a weird, like wholesome, quirky boy with a guitar who like writes kind of funny songs, mostly really, really literal songs.
Right.
And then this song was just, it's just different, it's really different. And, I've definitely gone down the rabbit hole of like assuming what people are going to think about it before it's actually released. And then, and then there's this infatuation fantasy that happens where I think about all the people that are going to be obsessed with it. Yeah. And like, it's just a lot of fantasy.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break and fantasize about whatever.
Work.
Free to fantasize.
Okay.
Let's all free to fantasize and be back after the fantasy. Okay, we're back.
What'd you fantasize about?
I fantasized about being a platypus for like 2 seconds.
Okay, nice. I fantasized about taking the bottle off. I mean, taking the cap off a bottle with my teeth.
Oh.
Just real quick.
Nice.
I've always wanted to do that, but I have like very genetically soft teeth.
Oh, like the beer bottle type bottle?
Yeah, like a bottle cap like that.
I was thinking like a soda cap.
Like a screw. Oh, what were you thinking? Like a screw bottle? Screw cap?
Yeah.
Like a plastic?
The cap, yeah.
That's less cool.
That's less cool. Yeah, the bottle.
No, I've seen someone actually do it with their teeth. My cousin Beto can do that. He's not well. He's got really strong teeth though.
Nice.
Anyway.
So, yeah, I think it's just, that's what's funny about this discussion to me is I don't really, when it comes to art, the criticism that happens before and after the work and the fantasy that happens before and afterwards, I don't necessarily see that it's like, oh no, if you got rid of the fantasy, then your art would be really good. You would totally, be at peace of sharing your stuff on the internet. Like, you know what I mean? Like if once you learn, or just be proud of yourself and don't listen to the haters and don't, if someone critiques it, that's their problem. Part of me is like, no, you're interacting with other people.
Yeah.
And you're a person yourself, and this is just the messy reality of the situation.
Yeah.
You're venturing out of your comfort zone, which is cool. I have never ventured out of my comfort zone when it comes to art.
Really?
I've done it privately, but I've just never done it publicly, which I might. But actually, for me, having that sense of like, okay, I'm just going to share this with, and the little bio is just like, this is for people who respect art. Just share it. I have no intentions what to do. I'm not going to, try to like market it. And to me, the feeling of someone going, "Oh, I really like this. Hey, I think my friend would like this too," and that kind of being the intention, I feel like that's allowed me to feel better about experimentation. And I guess in a sense, I've been like, this is who I am. I'm an artist. I don't expect any special treatment based on that. It's just, this is what I do. And now that now that I can put this stuff on the internet, that shouldn't make a difference at all. And for me, if I start trying to make it clickbaity, that will make a difference. So I'm not going to do that right now. And then if I put some weird stuff on it and the intention has that same level of respect, there's a sense of like, I can welcome all the criticism and the fantasies that come with it because I'm being true to myself.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I think
but you're the only follower I have, and I think it's hard to find on SoundCloud. Like I'm just saying, I don't know how smart it is. I've searched David Jean SoundCloud in Google, expecting it to come up, and it won't come up.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no David Jeans really, I think, on SoundCloud. So it's like really funny how like it's hard to find too.
Yeah.
So, and actually, sorry to cut you off, but
no, it's okay.
Authentically, I've been like, maybe I should do a little more, like
a little more
marketing promotion. Yeah. Like, the fact that it's hard to find when you're searching it, it's like, well,
if it's never been clicked by anyone but you, that's probably why it doesn't show up, because the internet algorithms probably like, this doesn't matter.
So the clicks do matter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that saying take the clickbait out of art is like, it's more deep than I thought.
That's why it spoke to me so much.
Wow.
Because, I think as somebody who already knew that about clicks, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can recognize that even if someone doesn't care about my stuff, if they do click it, like it'll make it more available for other people to potentially listen to and actually like it, and actually listen to it. So it's fucked up though. It's a fucked up system because it's not real. Like the data that's collected isn't actually accurate because you don't know what people's intentions were when they clicked it. They could have clicked it by mistake, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of creating something for clickbait is to make it so intriguing and mysterious, kind of, where it's like withholding. So it leaves the person looking at the little icon before they click it, thinking like, oh my God, I gotta know what's in there. It triggers something in the brain that's like, let me just take a peek. And then they click it, and it could be something completely not even having to do with what they originally thought it would be,
Yeah.
And that's what's so deceiving about the internet and marketing is like a lot of it is deception. A lot of it is, how do I trick people into liking my stuff?
Yeah.
And like, oh, at the beginning of my YouTube video, I'm going to tell them, remember to click like and subscribe and share. And I'll also remind them at the end. And I'll create little bubbles that'll pop into the video saying, remember to like, because it's like, it's all about gaining more traffic rather than having genuine interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really convoluted.
Yeah. I mean, to me, my personal philosophy since thinking about this is that you can't be authentic and try to market yourself. It's my own personal philosophy. I'm sure there's someone who's like really educated and they could explain to me why that's not true. And I'm not like someone who's like, no, I have this opinion. You can't change it.
Right. That's just how you feel.
Yeah. And honestly, when it comes to this podcast, I've been kind of thinking like, how I want the support, or, I'm sure you do too, but I'm just speaking for me, I would want someone to rate 5 stars or whatever on the podcast, because I feel passionate about this project, that it can help a lot of artists. Like an idea I had was that maybe we could have art shows where it's specifically you don't put it on the internet. So the only time you can hear this song or see this work of art is at this art show that, you just won't see it because no one's going to put it on the internet. And to me, that feels good, that idea of like creating like a close-knit like support group.
Yeah.
So how can I encourage people to be on board with that? I don't think I can encourage them because they have to be authentic, whether they like it or not. That's how I prefer it. But I also want to remind them, hey, like, it would help us out if you click the 5-star thing.
Yeah.
And
just click the 5-star
just
thing.
click the 5. And part of me has been like, oh, maybe if I was just like, look, man, I really want some help, or look, person, sorry, I didn't mean gender. Look, listener, I've seen how easy it is to click 5 stars on the iTunes app or the Apple app. It's just, you look down and you click it with your finger. It's like you just push your finger once. Just push your finger once. Sorry, just push your finger once on the 5-star thingy, and you don't have to think about it ever again. And you can make this whole journey that much more fulfilling, I think, because that's how, and it's like I've looked at Joe Rogan. He's got like millions of listeners. He has like 160,000 stars or something really small compared to his listeners. And there's a part of me that's like, I do it too. It's like, I don't want to click it. I just don't feel like it. Like, fuck you.
I do that too. I'm more turned off by potentially rating a video or whatever when I'm reminded to do it, because then I feel like there's this little rebellious teen in me that's like, don't fucking tell me what to do with my fingers. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, I'll rate it if I fucking want to. I think that, like, I relate more to those kinds of people that would be more authentic with whether they rate something or like something or subscribe to something, rather than just being like told what to do and then just like doing it. I can't even imagine that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, if it's someone I've liked, I like and subscribe before they would even ask.
Yeah.
But this is something else that I find weird. Is that if I like a bunch of people, like I love watching people play Mario Maker 2. I love that game, and I'm gonna do this later. But after a few people I've already subscribed to, I'll watch other people's videos, and I'm like, but I already subscribed to the other people. So like, you're kind of like on the low list. You're kind of the person I watch when I ran out, and that's so fucked up. Now that I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah.
I think what's fucked up about the internet is when you were describing clicks and how it's just that action that determines how people view, like, whether to influence the traffic or not. There's no self-conscious emotion in that click. It's just a finger movement. That's all it is. And then you have your own personal experience watching the video or listening to the song, but there's no authentic connection. And then that person watches your video and they go, oh, this sucked. And then they put their statement. And then they're done with the interaction. And then you read the comment and you go, fuck, this sucks. Maybe I should interact. It's like all these pauses and like compartmentalized projections.
Right.
So I guess like it makes sense why something so simple as getting followers in a genuine way can be so difficult.
Yeah. I'm someone who loses followers on a daily basis on Instagram. Up to like 20 to 30 followers a day I'll lose based on what I post. Usually if I post something kind of seductive or not seductive, it's never seductive. It's thoughty, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just very like gay guy shirtless internet selfie.
Eye candy.
Yeah. I usually lose followers from that because I think a lot of people, I'm a really polarizing person. So and I have a lot of facets of my personality. There's a part of me that's very appropriate for Disney Channel.
Right.
And then there's another part of me that's like X-rated.
Right.
And I don't, it's a weird balance. And I know that that's weird. I can't choose between the two personalities though. I'm a fucking Gemini. And I have bipolar. So bipolar Gemini. So it's interesting because I know that I lose followers when I do that, but then I also have to tell myself that after a couple of days, after I lose those 30 followers, I'll gain like 60.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I tell myself I'm weeding out the people that aren't actually fans of mine, that only like specific tiny little things about me that made them follow me, and then realize, oh, I tricked them, or like,
Oh, okay.
Or like, oh, that's not what they signed up for. And then they unfollow. I have to just tell myself, like, over time, the people that do stick around through all of the phases of who I am are the ones that I actually care about and that care about me, but it is like a mind fuck. Like, I do have to like go through this whole process in my head before I can accept that I lost 30 followers and not think that it's a blow to my self-esteem. Like, it doesn't become like a blow to my self-esteem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know why I just suddenly remembered this, and it's totally a non sequitur. It's just going to be such a big jump. So give me a second.
Go for it.
So with you and your Instagram account, there's an ebb and flow of followers that, in a sense, give you a better idea of who is there authentically, or they're genuinely following you because they find you genuinely interesting. I think the fantasy of infatuation and celebrity is really interesting because one thing when I was reading that I thought of is, what's the weirdest thing for people when they meet a celebrity is that they're human.
Oh my God. I was just talking to my partner about this.
Oh, yeah?
Last night. Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing he talked about last night was like, yeah, people meet me and then they say like, oh, you're a person. I'm like, yeah. Like,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of power and resources that comes from being a celebrity, and I think a lot of people, of course, people want that. It's like, I want my life to be easier.
Yeah. I want money.
Yeah.
I want a pool.
Yeah. I want nice food.
Oh, I want nice food. I have to go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so a person achieves a celebrity status, but they're still a person. And so then the fans, it's like, oh my God, this person's so great. They have this like distant, vague notion of what the person is. And they connect through the art. And, that to me is genuine. I don't necessarily have a problem with celebrity, especially say in the jazz world. Like, if you're really good in the jazz world and you're well known, like, you're really good. It's just the amount of competition that can weed out people. I find it legit. I'm sure there's people who, don't find competition like helpful in the slightest, but I think it's interesting. And if it's genuine, I feel like it's well earned and like something to be valued. But when it's someone who's just like a personality and they're kind of acting a character, and then you meet them and they're like irritated because the line's too long. I feel like there's like a cut in that infatuation, and then almost like a betrayal. And it's like, man, what the fuck? And then I really liked you. Why won't you take a picture with me? And I think
like, I spent so much energy loving you.
Yeah.
And then to like not be met with that same amount of energy, even if it's not conscious, it's like it's heartbreaking.
Okay, so this is why I'm going to bridge it into you and your Instagram.
Bring it around town.
And the fellow artists. I feel like I've internalized that for myself. So I have a sense of self that's a celebrity, and then I have a sense of self that's human and fucked up and get stressed out and just sucks. And I can't sit with those two things. So I make art trying to prove to myself that I am the celebrity, that I am the person who's like awesome and is free of all these like little annoyances. And then I won't share my art because then people will bring me back to being human. Or I won't, I'll wait on sharing my art because I just want to get a little bit perfective enough. And I think for me, it was only until I realized that celebrity persona doesn't exist and will never exist.
Right.
That I really started to be comfortable with like myself as an
artist. You just said so much right now. That's a lot. That's a fucking lot. That's a truckload.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's something that I can be convinced of when I post something that I feel really proud of, especially if it's like a photo where like I'm flexing, I'm tan, I look so good, the lighting is perfect. I can fantasize that I have that body even when I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
And the truth is, if I hunch over, I have stomach rolls.
Right.
It's just like, but when I stare at this photo, I'm like, oh my God, that's the real me.
Oh shit,
that's the me that I wish I was all the time. And I can, if only I just work out just for a couple more weeks and I starve myself for a couple more weeks, I'll be able to look like that even when I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
Even after a full day of eating or whatever. And it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And the fantasy of that celebrity is so real.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it like that. That's really interesting.
Yeah. And that's that's why I'm just so passionate about this podcast, because I think if like you and I, two artists, but like, I would say if more than one artist comes together and discusses these like insecurities, it kind of takes that marketing, self-doubt, perfectionism, I could list more adjectives, but it kind of like it takes the doubt out. It's like, hey, you know what? Like, you're not going to look like that picture always. It's just impossible.
Right.
And like, doesn't mean you shouldn't take that picture. We had our guest Kevin, and he, I'm sure he's fine with me sharing it. And if not, too bad. But he, no. He said as soon as he got off the podcast, he went and put on a wig and tried out different ideas for the Toxic 12-Step sponsor skit. And like, I was just like, fuck yeah, that's all I've wanted from this podcast.
That makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
That's so exciting to me.
Yeah.
Because he was so insecure about it.
Yeah.
When he first brought it up, he almost didn't even share it.
Yeah.
And then when he did, we were so supportive, genuinely.
Yeah.
I was like, you and I both were like beaming when he started talking about this. And just that little bit of reinforcement sparked something in him that made him want to like actually develop it more.
Yeah.
That's so exciting to me.
Yeah, same here. It's like, and I was like, that's my true north guiding star for this podcast. I'm like, that's all I want. I was like, I would like to make this a full-time thing. Like, I would want some this to be supportive financially, because I don't have a job and I'm passionate about it. But I could get caught up in the infatuation of what that means, and like, I go, no. Just think of the artist who feels a little bit better after the podcast, because I'm human too, and so of course these struggles are going to come and go.
Yeah.
But like, when I heard that, I was just like, that is so reassuring to me, and like, and for the most part, that's how I sit with this project.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Like, I want people to fucking give ratings so that we can do ads, so that we can interview more artists. Like, to me, there's like a feedback in this whole project that I feel is why I don't feel so uncomfortable being like, hey, just give us the 5 stars when you're done with this podcast. Because the point is, if you're an artist and then you go, oh, all right, I'll give them the 5 stars, like, email us, legit email us or DM us and say you want to be on the podcast. To me, this is a group effort, and I want to be able to figure out how to put on shows in different places when that, of course,
it's
when that
so
opens
doable.
up again, where it's like, people are like, know why we're here.
Yeah.
We can have like, we can even involve charities and things like that. And I just feel like part of it is just like being like, look, the internet is disillusioning when it comes to your art in a lot of ways. Like, there's going to be an ideal that's not possible to live up to, and we're being told that we need to live up to it. But all of us kind of know that it's bullshit to begin with. So let's just do our own fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways,
Sure.
5 stars.
5 stars, please. I thought of a great shirt.
Oh, okay.
When you were talking right now, it's a picture. It's a drawing of Kevin putting a wig on, and it just says, "Put the wig on, Kevin."
Ooh.
In a mirror.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I've thought, like, I want to be, if we did sell the t-shirts, he should get some of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how I've been thinking about, like, the art, whoever, the more artists that are involved. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be like us just reaping rewards and not giving anything back. That to me makes me nauseous to think about it.
I like the idea of creating a symbiotic relationship with our people we interview, our listeners, you and I, the production company, the ads. I want it to go both ways. I want all of this to be a two-way street.
Yeah.
And genuinely, like, it seems more fun, and I'm all about building community.
Yeah.
My whole life is fucking community. Like, and I'm open to growing this, like, cool, supportive community with everybody.
And me too. And I feel like this is the only time I want to give, like, a requesting internet whatever followers speech, because I legit want this to get really big real fast, so that we can step back and go, okay, cool, this thing, we're going to be taken care of a little bit in this project. So then then we can just sit back and be like, hey, look at this issue, like the fact that Black trans women's murders aren't being discussed. Let's take a month to discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As opposed to, like, okay, I'm running my job. When are you free, Ezra? I'm free this day. Fuck, I can't make it.
Yeah.
Did this person get canceled last minute? I don't know. Like that's legit. Those stressors are legit. But there's a part of me that's like, I would love to have it that, like, if the podcast got big enough that it will show up, we'll get enough fucking clicks so that it'll show up on other people's pages. But then we can also reach out to the rapper in Kansas, in a small town that I just happened to find on Instagram. He's got like 200 followers, and that people can legitimately listen to them. And because it's like, as opposed to like, oh, who's the next super cool famous person in our cool super clique. Yeah, because that's kind of how it is. It seems like with the podcast world,
it is, and just in general with like social media, there's like the top dogs with the check marks, and then there's anyone else, know. And I find that it's very hierarchical and very it's like a I mean, it's a hierarchy. There's the people that are verified and that have a lot of followers, and then there's everybody else. And you can do so much more if you're verified.
Yeah.
As far as knowing your statistics, having more access to like cooler stuff in the app. And once you hit 10K, there's also another level where you can you have more accessibility. You're able to put swipe up links in your story.
Whoa.
And stuff like that. So like when I hit 10K, because I lose so many followers every day, I knew that when I hit 10K that day, that it would go back down again and I would lose the capability of swipe ups. So when I did hit 10K, I was like, don't get used to this because tomorrow it's going to be gone.
Oh, whoa.
And it took me a full week to like gain enough followers for it to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And then enjoy my new capabilities. It's silly,
Well, but that's what's, to me, like, I'm a curmudgeon for sure. But like, as much as I'm like, I want that guy from the middle of nowhere, Kansas, to be heard, definitely. But we also, well, some celebrities, and they have these stories too. And I think that's also helpful to have them on and be like, we have someone that, we won't mention right now because they don't know if they want to be on the podcast or not. But that you were telling me someone who had to leave Twitter. And so it's I think those stories just will let everyone here's maybe another slogan, like, bring more humanity to art. So that's all I'm trying to do. That's what that's I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, and like, you know, I think that humanity doesn't need verification. You know, like, and that check mark, it really separates people. And I'm not saying I don't want a fucking check mark. Like, I want one so bad. I just really do. But
I want a check mark so when they swipe up, it leads back to my Instagram page that has no post.
You're stupid. But yeah, I don't know. I think that there's something we can do to help bridge that a little bit and be like, there is somebody just as talented as the celebrity with a check mark who has 200 followers and nobody knows who they are, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, people like other people, some people have had great opportunities. Some people have been lucky, whatever it is that have gotten them to where they are. That's awesome. And also I want it to be just as accessible if you have that same amount of talent or like drive or passion for art. I would love for the playing field to be evened out, even if you're not good at marketing yourself on the internet, you know?
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know how that works, but like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I hope, you know, to build a platform for that.
Yeah.
As self-righteous as that sounds to me, saying that stuff out loud, but
your intentions are good. Our intentions are good, and that's, I mean,
yeah. And I legit know I have friends that would like that.
Yeah, me too.
So, I hope we can make more friends. You know, email us at internetinsanitypod@gmail.com. Also, Internet Insanity Pod is the Instagram handle. Yeah. What else?
That seems good.
Yeah.
I like that. We did our plugging our stuff, and you can click things if you feel like it. If you don't feel like it, then fucking don't. I don't care.
I care, but
okay,
I respect.
Fine. I lied. I actually do. I don't care.
Dude, that fucking sucks.
I was feeling
you know what's worse?
Defensive.
This is what I just imagined. I just imagined the listener like, I'm gonna fucking 5-star, like a bunch of people. I'm gonna 5-star the shit out of this. And then right when we said I fucking care, and then we laughed, they went, oh yeah.
Never mind.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.